Welcome to the Calexico Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority, regular meeting agenda. Today is Wednesday, November 17, 2021. It's about 5:32 p.m. and I call this meeting to order.
Councilmember Romo?
Here.
Councilmember Ariola Fernandez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Here.
Mayor Moreno is absent. Councilmember Ureña is absent. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Yes.
Public comments.
I have Mr. Rafael Valadez. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on closed session items only. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council.
Hola, buenas tardes. Bueno, estamos aquí mis compañeros y yo presente. Queremos ver qué es lo que ha pasado. Ya se ha hablado con las 5 personas del concilio para ver qué nos pueden ayudar con los sueldos, somos part-time algunos y no se nos ha resuelto nada. Entró el año fiscal, igual. Tenemos 5 meses esperando una junta donde nos puedan decir qué ha pasado y no hemos tenido ninguna respuesta. Y es por eso que estamos presentes aquí. Porque no se nos hace justo ganar $14 cuando realmente nuestro esfuerzo, nuestro trabajo vale más que eso. Entonces es lo que estamos pidiendo, estamos esperando una respuesta. Ya se habló con las 5 personas, han ido a hablar con nosotros. Y todos nos quitan el dedo del renglón, que sí nos van a ayudar, que sí. Y hasta la fecha, nada. Entonces es una de las cosas, las peticiones que hemos pedido, tampoco nos han dicho nada. Ya algunas personas se hicieron full time y a nosotros todavía nos tienen así. O sea que nosotros no somos indispensables para la ciudad, pero queremos saber. Pues de mi parte es todo.
Gracias, señor Valadez.
Ricardo Calatayud. Calatayud.
Buenas tardes a todos. Pretty much, creo que todos sabemos por qué estamos aquí. Hay 7 items en nuestros wants de nuestra sesión y pues sabemos que se ha tardado, se ha demorado por X razón, pero ya estamos bastante pues, alterados y desesperados porque pues alguna respuesta. Sabemos que los puntos se van a tocar el día de hoy, vamos a hacer sesión cerrada y estamos aquí todos básicamente para que ustedes, pues ya lo saben, ¿verdad? Estamos en una situación bastante dura. Todo el mundo está pasando por eso, los gastos de todo está carísimo. Nosotros estamos amarrados a un sueldo súper bajo. Simplemente de que ustedes, por favor, ya saben de qué se trata, nos han encontrado con nosotros y posiblemente creo que ustedes nos han dado a entender de que es the right thing to do, es justo y creo que es en hora de que las peticiones que son 7, pues que se nos concedan. No es nada fuera de este mundo, es algo que en nuestro iniciado hablamos y es algo que es attainable. It could be done. Somehow it could be done, I'm sure. Simplemente es, basically, we're here for that. Not only, of course, que hacer a que los compañeros que están en permanent part-time, que los deseamos que tengan se sientan bien de que tienen el apoyo de todos los demás y los beneficios de ser full time. Eso es una de las cosas también bien importantes y claro, salario y todos los demás detalles en los 7 peticiones. So, hopefully you will do accordingly and do the right thing. Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you. Gracias. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Gabby. So with that, we'll adjourn to closed session. It's about 5:37. So we are... Welcome to the Calexico City Council,
Recording in progress.
Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority, regular meeting agenda. Today is Wednesday, November 17, 2021. It's about 6:47 p.m. And I call this meeting to order. Roll call, Gabby.
Mayor Protem Garcia,
Here?
Councilmember Ariola Fernandez,
Here.
Councilmember Ureña,
Here.
Councilmember Romo,
Here.
Mayor Moreno is absent. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Gabby. Now, if you can just join me and please get up and we're going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Ureña, if you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if I can have Mr. Figueroa, can you lead us into the mission statement?
Yes, sir. Calexico mission statement. Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
If you can please remain standing. Now I'm going to have Pastor Vicente Barrientos from the Apostolic Assembly of the Faith in Jesus Christ lead us into the invocation. Pastor Barrientos.
Good evening to all. It is an honor to be here with you tonight, and it is always good to look for the guidance of God in every decision we're going to make. And today, I just want to give you a word of God, just a little verse that it will help us to do everything with excellence. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. Doing this, we'll try to strive for the excellence. So if you please close your eyes and let's pray together to the Lord. For this meeting be successful in every way. Heavenly Father, God of justice and mercy, we thank you, Lord, for the gift of the life and for the opportunity to serve the people of our city. As we come to you this evening asking for guidance, wisdom, and support, as we begin this meeting, allow us to grow closer, hallelujah, and to grow and nurture the bonds of community. Fill up ourselves with your grace that we need it. We need to be close to you, Lord. Oh, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect ourselves and our community, and continue to remind us that we all here today, that all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of the truth, the greater glory to you. Doing it to you, we're doing it for our community. And for the service to our people. Help us to act with character, conviction, and respect. We ask these things in the powerful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, with us.
Thank you, Pastor. You may sit down. And now we're going to move on to closed session announcements.
Yes, thank you for items number 1 and 3, received direction but took no reportable actions. For item number 2, just report that we did receive direction to provide a counteroffer, but no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, I was going to make a motion to approve the agenda, but there was an emergency item we wanted to add, to send to the Board of Supervisors a letter asking them to reconsider the mask mandate.
Would you like to amend your motion to include that emergency item?
Yes. I make a motion to include,
So you amend your motion.
Oh,
Second?
She was making, I'll second that motion.
So first by Councilwoman Arriola, second by Councilmember Ureña. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion if I can get all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And for direction on where would you like to see that item?
We'll go ahead and put it under
No.
9B, or 9A, excuse me.
9A?
What, 9 and 9A or 9B?
9 and 9A. 9A?
9A?
Okay.
Thank you. Now we move to presentations. We have a proclamation for Farm Workers Appreciation Week from November 28, 2021 through December 3rd, 2021. And we'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas agriculture has traditionally been the backbone of the economy of the Imperial Valley, and whereas Imperial Valley farm workers have tilled the soil, sowed the seed, and harvested the crops of this rich agricultural area, and
Whereas these workers and the agriculture industry have provided food in abundance for the people in the cities, the nation, and world, have contributed greatly to the economy of Calexico and the Imperial Valley. And whereas the Calexico City Council recognizes the contribution which these migratory workers and the agriculture industry have made to our community, and
whereas the Calexico City Council believes in the dignity of tilling the soil and tending the crops, and
Whereas the city of Calexico recognizes agriculture will continue to play a strong role in our community economically.
now therefore be it resolved, I, Camilo Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Calexico, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of November 28, 2021 through December 3rd, 2021 as Farm Worker Appreciation Week. In witness whereof, hereunto affix my signature and official seal of the City of Calexico on the 17th date of November 2021. Do we have someone from EDD or from the Farm Worker Services Coalition? Okay, so if not, we'll make sure that they get this proclamation. Thank you. Now, we'll move on to
right?
number 5, which is the biweekly COVID-19 update presentation by Chief Avila. Chief?
Good evening, Honorable City Council, and to the staff and all the staff that was here. It was kind of nice to see everybody in the City Hall full. Today's report for the COVID is going to start off with the numbers like we always do here. So far since the whole pandemic started, we've had 8,706 people infected. Currently at the moment, as of this morning, the time, we have 173 people that are actively positive. The number that I'm always happy about is the recovered number. That's 8,292. And unfortunately, we have had 241 deaths. Wasn't here for the last city council. but I would like to mention at this point. Back in August 17th of 2021, the County of Imperial took a proactive approach to the COVID virus, and what they did is they put an order in for the mask order to be in. November 1st, 2021, they hadn't rescinded that order, so that's for the mask. I know there's been several questions on the mask, on when we're supposed to use them, when we're not supposed to use them. It could be a little not very clear with it. So what I've done is, if you are unvaccinated, technically you should be wearing your mask everywhere you go. If you are vaccinated, you can pretty much be free, but there is, however, some places that you should not be in without a mask. For some of those are healthcare settings, so if you're at your doctors, the hospitals, the clinics, make sure you're wearing your mask. If you're in the long-term care, if you have parents or loved ones in the long-term care facilities, we need to make sure that we're wearing them there. The adult care facilities as well. Public transportations, now that we got the buses going, everybody in the bus should be wearing their mask regardless of vaccination status. And right now, the schools. As far as the businesses goes, private businesses, right now there is some leeway for them setting their own standards on what they want to do with the mask. Right now is if they can ask to see if you are vaccinated to prove the status. However, much of those businesses are not doing that. Moving on to the vaccination shots. It's still continue to make sure that we're pushing for the vaccination to start. One of the big pushes right now is the booster shots. So booster shots are available pretty much for everybody 18 and older. If you want to get the Pfizer or the Moderna shot, they're preferring that you have 6 months after your last COVID shot before you can get that. And the Johnson & Johnson has been recently approved for booster as well, and that's going to be 2 months after your last booster shot. Another big thing was the children under the ages of, over the ages of 5 through 11 are now allowed to get their vaccines. So we're kind of pushing for that as well. There is a bunch of vaccine clinics that are still taking place at the Imperial County Health Department. On Tuesdays, you can go for the Pfizer injection, and that is from 8:30 in the morning to lunch. After lunch, it goes up to 6 p.m. If you're looking for the Johnson & Johnson and the Moderna, that is on Wednesdays, and that is 1 to 5. And another one for the Pfizer is on Thursday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. Let me see. And I think that is my update for you guys. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Just on that, the schedules, I would like to see if we can just upload those schedules to our website.
Yeah,
people can see.
I want to say that they might already be up there, but
Okay.
I will double check to make
If we
sure
could
that
just
they're in
keep
there.
on refreshing them, maybe.
For sure.
Just to.
And I also want, we also have those dates in Spanish as well, so that
Okay.
the flyer will be in Spanish as well.
Just one brief question. How are the infections going? Are they going up? They're going down?
2 weeks ago, we were higher than we are today. So we are going, it seems like it's trending down, but at the same time, the hospitals are still we're still seeing patients being admitted because of it. So I'd hate to say it's going down and it actually be going up, but the numbers from 2 weeks ago to now, we are lower.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That does, yeah, I know there's a delay in the
There's a delay,
hospitalization.
so we probably won't know until
But
probably another 2 weeks.
2 weeks, so maybe this month,
Oh,
generally
Yes,
up?
yeah, usually toward the end of the month, we'll see if there was a big inclination or declination there.
Oh, no, I'm asking like this last month, as opposed to the last 2 weeks, last
Steady,
month?
it was steady.
Going
It was about the
steady?
same average, yes.
Okay,
Give or take 10.
okay.
Councilwoman Rose,
Mayor,
you have-
thank you. Mr. Favila,
Yes.
I think that you prepared the information before coming to this meeting. So I want to ask you if you can send us a report before the meeting?
Yes, we can
Yes?
do that.
Oh,
It,
thank you.
You're looking for like a
I
brief
appreciate
summary
it.
of what I'm brief? Yes, for sure. I can get
Thank
that
you.
to Yeah, you're welcome. And you'd like that to start the next council meeting?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you,
Anything
Chief.
else? Okay.
Thank you. Gabby, if you honor me with the announcement.
Yes. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Moreno will be held by appointment. Please contact the city clerk's office at 760-768-2102 to schedule an appointment.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to public comments and public appearances.
This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. However, if the item you wish to comment on is on consent agenda, please comment now. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct questions and comments to the City Council.
Thank you. City manager's report.
I have,
Oh, excuse me. Is there a public comment?
I have one, I'm sorry. It's a long one, so I'll just time it.
So it's a written comment?
This comment is from Mr. Arturo Medina, Calexico City Council. Dear City Council members, once again, I would like to bring to your attention the following issues that impact our city and for which and previous administrations have failed to respond and or have taken no action. Some of these issues date back to 2010. Road repairs at Bauco Road and Jasper Roads. I appreciate the city's efforts to repair Jasper and Bauco roads, but such poor repairs have made no substantial improvements to the deterioration state of these roads, especially Jasper Road. High speeds and heavy traffic, as well as heavy agricultural machinery during rush hours, make Bauco Road a very dangerous one to drive on. I don't understand how city workers can plug one hole and skip the next two and consider this road repair. They left the potholes at the junction of Bauco and Jasper completely untouched. I encourage City Council members, along with supervisors of this road repair crew, to take a short drive on these roads and appreciate how difficult and dangerous it has become to drive on as a result of the lack of proper repair. I must remind city representatives that thanks to the Assembly member Eduardo Garcia, ex-Governor Brown, and everyone who voted for a new tax, including previous City Council members, we are paying a hefty price at the gas pump and DMV in order to drive on decent roads. Even Mexicali is giving Carretera Aeropuerto a new carpet. Why can't this city do the same for these roads? We have fallen into the third world city status, or are we still within the boundaries of the Golden State? Parking ticket. A few weeks ago, a Dodge pickup with a trailer parked on Meadows Street side of my home and was left there for at least 2 weeks. I called the city a few times and finally this pickup was given a warning. The owner moved it to a park and parked it across the street on Nixon Avenue, but not before spraying the pavement with a foul language message clearly indicating his discontent with the parking warning. I, on the other hand, parked my car on the side of the street for a few minutes to take out the trash and get a ticket that ends up costing me $692. Not only that, but the chief of police suggested that I bring this issue to the Superior Court, but failed to request a hearing with one-year time limit despite my frequent reminders. I request that the city show fair treatment and provide me a warning for this incident. Stop sign needed at the corner of Nixon and Meadows Avenues. I have correspondence dating back to the year 2013 that was sent to several council members, including Bill Hawes.
Thank you. So if you could just forward that comment to us, and I believe that has been sent out previously also, so thank you. Now, I believe Supervisor Escobar has a comment also.
Hi, council members, city manager, good afternoon. I have 3 comments. I'm going to bump my third comment to my first comment based on the public comment that we just heard. As you know, Bauco Road, it is a county road. My third comment comment that I was make today, which I'll make it first, is I was going to invite, with your permission and the city manager's permission, our Public Works Director, John Gay, to share the road projects that we have that surround Calexico that obviously affect Calexico residents as they go in and out of the city. Bauco Road is one example. The project that we have on Jasper Road that we've had a meeting with Mr. Gay and Mr. Figueroa as well as other roads that surround the city of Calexico that are obviously in dire need of repair or repavement. So if it's okay with you, Mayor, and you, City Manager, I would like to entertain that and bring John Gay for a presentation.
Sure.
Please. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Going back to my item number 1, a few short years ago, I was in your seats. In fact, I was in your seat, Ms. Councilmember Romo, your seat, Councilmember Ureña, and your old seat. Actually, I take it back. Councilmember Ureña, Councilmember Rosie, and Vice Mayor Camilo. I never got to that seat, unfortunately. I went to the county. The point I'm trying to make is, when I was here at the beginning of my tenure for the city council, unfortunately, I witnessed a significant setback in our finances. I witnessed how we were, if not 1, 2 steps away from bankruptcy. It was extremely serious. Now, having known the ramifications that bankruptcy did to the city of Stockton, as we go back roughly a decade, a little bit more than a decade, it became more and more aware of how we needed to band together. And my being thankful is not thankful enough. There is no words to express as a member of the city of Calexico, and at that time a member of the city council, on how the employees of this city stepped up to the plate and gave up roughly 30% of their salaries.
Yeah.
Salaries, benefits, depending on what union you talk about, at the end of the day, it was 30%. Their mortgages didn't go down. Their car payments didn't go down. They didn't get a discount at Walmart. They didn't get a discount to pump gas. So the fact that they took a 30% pay hit, and we can blame prior city councils, prior city managers, we can blame accounting errors, we can blame corruption, lawsuits, you can lay the blame on anybody, but at the end of the day, the employees of this city, 150 plus strong, took the bull by the horns and took a 30% pay cut. So when I found out that with Mr. Figueroa's leadership, vision, and your leadership, you gave them $7,000 of ARPA funding, it made me very proud to be a former city council member, to be your current supervisor, and to be a resident of the city of Calexico. Because if anybody deserves this, it's them. So again, my hat's off to you for voting in favor of it. Thank you for your vision. It was not easy, but again, it made me very proud to hear that. So thank you very much. My second comment is COVID-19, to continue a discussion. This isn't over. The fight isn't over. Yes, there's a lot of people vaccinated. Those numbers are misleading. A lot of people that you and I both know came from Mexicali and got vaccinated. So we have to be very careful with those numbers. Those numbers, as Public Health Director Angulo mentioned, are inflated. The numbers at our hospitals are worrisome. Why are they worrisome? Because we're at capacity in ICU. My mother gets a heart attack. ¿Cómo la van a atender? We have to be vigilant. We have to be very careful. We have to be very prudent. Why do we have to be vigilant and prudent? 2 reasons. It's cold and flu season. 2 of my daughters already got the cold. One of them, having been vaccinated for influenza, got influenza A. Thank God they didn't get COVID. Even though they've been vaccinated, you know it can still happen. Number 2, what's going to happen in a couple weeks? Thanksgiving, biggest American holiday, probably bigger than Christmas here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And in Mexico, las posadas, la cervecita, las carnes asadas, etc. Christmas and New Year's. We have a very, very limited hospital infrastructure. We all know that. We have 2 small-scale hospitals that can't attend everybody when we all get sick. We saw it during our summer surge of 2020. We saw it during our winter surge of 2020, 2021. Again, we need to be vigilant. We need to be careful. It's hypocritical for us to be wearing a mask here, but then we go out with 100 people in una quinceañera, una boda, no mask. So again, we have to be careful, we have to be vigilant for our sake and the sake of our community. I'm out of my spiel. I'll be quiet now. But again, I will bring, with coordination from Mr. Figueroa, I will bring our Public Works Director to give us a rundown on what is being worked on. He works by a 3-year plan. So what's going to happen this year? In this case, this year's over. Next year, the following year, and the year after that. I think it'll be very informative for both the City Council, City Manager, as well as our employees and our community. And again, let's be vigilant. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. And I mean, if anybody deserves this, it's our employees. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Now we'll move on to City Manager report.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. I want to share that tomorrow at 9 a.m., the Calexico Public Works Department, specifically the water plant, will be hosting a ribbon cutting on a partnership project that we engaged on with the Air Pollution Control District, led by Director Desert, as it pertains to an air monitor specifically located in the vicinity, as close as we could get it to the New River. This is going to give us valuable data that we'll be able to use for multiple uses. There are currently going on some efforts, AB 617. We have our own consortium here in which the Air Pollution Control District has partnered with a local nonprofit organization that focuses on environmental justice. And slowly but surely we're seeing the dividends. At the last meeting we had a presentation by Mr. Jose Angel, our project manager for the New River Improvement Project. We all learned the tangible progress we're making now, where we can actually see it, where we can tell the people. So this is just another element within the whole scope of our efforts to address this long-standing issue that at the end of the day, the number one concern that we have is that it's a public health matter, that it's not exclusive to Calexico, that it's not exclusive only to the residents of the west side of town, but to everybody as a whole in our region. So I'm very proud to say that we're going to be doing that tomorrow. I want to tip my hat to the Public Works staff as they've been doing their best on short notice to get everything ready for that event tomorrow. Their tireless work and their hard effort is always to be recognized. So again, open invitation to the council. If any of you wish, have the time within your schedule to attend, we'll be more than happy to see you. At this moment, Mayor Pro Tem, that's my report.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. Now we'll move on to City Council comments and reports of meetings attended. I'll start to my left. Councilman Oreña.
Thank you. I'll be very brief with my comments. I had a whole comment prepared here on ARPA, but I'll go ahead and instead make this into a written comment that gets sent out to the press and to the community. It's a constructive comment that is meant to push us forward with the rest of the money that we still have. An open invitation to the community. We will be having a town hall, at myself and Councilwoman Romo, here at Calexico City Hall and virtually, where we will be talking about ARPA and other issues. It's going to be Monday, November 22nd at 5:30 p.m. I'll reiterate my position on ARPA just very briefly. Obviously, our employees definitely deserve well thought out premium pay for their sacrifices, but I absolutely, moving forward, expect something to go out to the people of Calexico that were also one of the hardest hit populations in the whole state of California, if not the nation. I was prepared to have a conversation on the Transportation Commission position, which right now is Ms. Rosie Fernandez, who sits as the vice chair. I want to be very clear that at this point, I want to clarify with not just with ICTC, but with the mayor, how we're going to be working together. It's my intention to support the vice chair's work at that commission. I want to make it very clear I don't want to take her place, but I want to make sure that I'm in the best suited position to support her on that commission so that we can work together and get the best possible outcomes for our city. And with that, I'll end my comments, and I'll make sure that this ARPA comment gets out to the community.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I do have comments. Okay. First of all, pertaining to ICTC, I did attend Mr. Mark Basa's retirement party, which, you know, Mr. Basa worked from March 2010 to 2021. And he's had done an outstanding job, you know, as a leader. He had a lot of vision for Imperial County. It was a very well attended retirement party. Also attended the ceremony, the opening ceremony for the Mobile Vietnam Memorial Wall, honoring our heroes, our fallen veterans. And it was very emotional. My pro tem, Mr. Garcia, was there. Seeing the wall, I think whoever had the opportunity to see it, I'm sure that they felt the same way that we all did. It was a very well-organized ceremony as well. Also, we attended the Walmart reopening celebration, which was also well attended by the community. They gave out certificates to their employees and also to local organizations. And then we attended the Veterans Memorial Celebration out in our cemetery. The Baja Runners were the ones that organized it. They put out flags to our veterans in the cemetery, and they had a breakfast as well. There was a blessing by our local father from Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and that was it. I think that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fernandez. I'll deal to all your events that you attended, and let me just go back and highlight, you know, our ceremonies for the Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, we owe it to them, you know, for their sacrifice and effort and just putting their lives on hold and risking their lives for us to enjoy, you know, what we enjoy now. So I think, you know, it's not just on Veterans Day or Memorial or any holiday that reminds us of their sacrifice that we should recognize them, but I think it should be every day. So every time you come across a veteran, thank them, appreciate them for what they have done. So I think they deserve that, and we owe it to them. So that was my comment on that, and then also, it's good to see that our businesses are coming back. You know, I attest to, you know, the Walmart reopening. You know, it was very festive, but more than that also, I think, you know, the business, you know, activities coming back to our city little by little. We do hear of the uptick in COVID cases. So we just have to be careful. We need that economic, you know, activity, vitality in our community, but we still have to be cognizant and remembering that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Not in the middle, but a pandemic. So with that, we'll move on to our next item, which is the consent agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Any items to be pulled from the agenda? Well, actually, there was no items pulled from the agenda. Mm-hmm. Now we'll move on to discussion of potential action items. Item number 9, which is consider a request for Farm Workers Services Coalition of Imperial County for a waiver of the temporary use permit fee for the 42nd Farm Workers Appreciation Breakfast. City Manager, I can have a staff report.
Absolutely, Mayor. This is a staple event, to say the least, in our town. We have visitors that come from outside of Imperial County just to attend this event. They fly in from Sacramento, from other states. So for us, it's no issue at all from an administration standpoint to recommend to this council that the fee tied to this temporary use permit be waived. I also want to point out that there is no account in our budget that's going to be affected by this. This is simply a clean waiver that we're doing as it pertains to if they don't pay for this, it doesn't mean that it's going to cost the city in any type of way in its budget. I want to clear that up. So at this moment, I believe, if anything, I mean, we need to continue to be thankful of all the agencies that come together to make this happen.
Thank you, City Manager. And let me just add to that. For the last 20 years, I know last year they didn't have the traditional celebration, but they actually were in different parts of the city passing out goodie bags for people that were crossing to go to work. So they still, in some form, they celebrated, they remember this event that has been going on for 42 years. And on a personal note, God willing, this coming up will be my 21st attending. And you're correct, City Manager, this is a marquee event to recognize the efforts of our farm workers. And I think, if there's a time, that I will invite my colleagues to be at this type of event, this is the type of event. It's just a very, very moving and festive at the same time. I know that, that the coalition is preparing this, taking into consideration all the COVID guidelines. So with that, if I can have a motion to approve this item.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
So first and second, if I can have all of you say aye, whoever's in approval.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Thank you. Now we'll go to item 9A, emergency item. If I can have Mr. Reina, would you be covering that item?
Yes, just very briefly, it's a simple item, and it comes as an emergency item due to the fact that COVID cases right now are going up. I was considering bringing it up for the next regular agenda, but by then it would be 2 weeks. The COVID situation would change, and the matter at hand with the supervisors removing the mask requirement is a very hot topic item that I think the council needs to make an opinion on. If you look at our population, if you go into a gym here in Calexico, supermarket here in Calexico, the residents in Calexico, for the most part, unlike maybe other jurisdictions in the county, still, for the most part, wear their masks. This city, because it was a harder hit than other cities, knows the danger, knows how a slight uptick in a couple of weeks or in a couple months can turn into a tsunami of cases. As Mr. Escobar just mentioned, we're at 4 ICU beds in the county. We have to take precautions, and I think it would be prudent for the city council to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors to ask them to please reconsider reinstating the mask mandate so that at least we can have time between when the border opened until 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, like it was originally planned by the public health director, to see how the cases will go. So this is just direction for Mr. Figueroa to draft that letter, for it to be pre-approved and to send to the county in the most respectful fashion.
Mr. Dancer, you're asking us to approve a letter to be sent to the supervisors, is that correct?
Yes.
And telling them to lift the ordinance that they have. Is there an ordinance, Mr. Escobar, on wearing masks? Or I'm kind of lost in this in a little bit. Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
Chief Avila, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but in general, every state has their own distinct mandates. So obviously we're California, so we follow California mandates. Specifically on the mask, and I believe Chief Avila mentioned this a few minutes ago. In California, we have a mask mandate where currently, if you're vaccinated, it is encouraged but not required for you to wear a mask indoors. If you are unvaccinated, it is required for you to wear a mask indoors. What the County Board of Supervisors did, because again, We can be stricter than the state policy, we can't be more lenient than the state policy. Specifically on the mask mandate, what we did in August is that we approved that we take it to the next level because our Delta variant was increasing, because of the infrastructure limitations that we have currently in our county. Unfortunately, we decided to take the bull by the horns and be a little more conservative. So what we did is we required indoor mask mandates, independent of whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. That occurred in August. At a meeting that occurred in October, under pressure by the Board of Supervisors, our medical director and our director of public health came up with a game plan to be able to assist our county in getting out of the mask mandate and getting back to state regulations. Again, I'll repeat myself. That is required for unvaccinated, strongly encouraged if you're vaccinated. Indoor only. Outdoor is a separate matter. In your household is a separate matter. Again, this is just indoor public. That's it. So what happened is they recommended, if I remember correctly, again, Chief, if I remember the date correctly, November 23rd at midnight, it was going to be lifted.
Yeah.
And again, there was significant reasoning behind it. Kids were going to be able to get vaccinated. Obviously, our vaccination rate were through the roof, and we could obviously see trends to see if things were going down, things were going up, etc., from a positivity perspective, from a bed usage perspective, from an ICU availability perspective, etc. So based on all these items, they decided, again, if I remember correctly, November 23rd at midnight, for the mask mandate to be lifted. Again, we were going to go back to the state mandate. Okay, so what happened is there was a motion on the floor, it was seconded, it was taken to a vote, and it was approved on a 3-2 vote.
Okay.
Supervisors Kelly, and Castillo voted in favor. Supervisors Blancarte and Escobar voted against it. We wanted to continue based on the recommendation that was given by our medical director and our director of public health. It was lifted as of November 1st, again, if I remember correctly, at midnight. So we went back to the state policy. Unvaccinated required, vaccinated strongly encouraged. That's the only thing that we lifted. There is nothing to do with vaccine mandates, nothing to do with mask mandates at schools, for example, nothing to do with mask mandates in healthcare settings like Chief Fabula said, hospitals, doctors' offices, etc. So that's the only thing that was lifted. Is that clear?
So what is it that you want, again, Mr. Daniel, so you want them to
put the mask back on.
to have outdoors?
No. For them to put the indoor mask mandate back to where it was.
Yeah.
To
They-
reinstate it.
To be
Restate
so.
it, yes. This is the,
Can you explain the difference between November 1st and then November 23rd? Like what happened there?
Well, I mean, the only thing that happened is, again, in the last meeting in October, there was a motion on the floor, seconded, voted on 3-2, approved, where instead of lifting the mask mandate in our county, instead of lifting it on November 23rd at midnight, we were going to lift it on November 1st at midnight. So we accelerated the process and we went against what public health and our medical director recommended.
So now we're in compliance.
No, it's not that we're in compliance. Remember, we can be stricter, and we're in full compliance. We
Okay,
can't be more
compliance.
lenient. In this case, we were stricter. And the reason behind it, I'll repeat myself, is because the Delta variant was increasing during our summer, and because of our limited hospital infrastructure, limited beds, limited capacity, and very important, limited workers. That's very important. We have a very limited amount of nurses to assist us in taking care of the people in need. That's very important.
correct.
Very limited amount of nurses in our jurisdiction.
So
So that's why we took kind of the bull by the horns and we're a little more aggressive than what the state mandate was. And again, what happened, even though I voted against it, I was in favor of our recommendation of November 23rd. It was voted and approved on November 1st that we go back to California mandate, which again, the only difference here is instead of being in a public setting like this meeting, that we have everybody with
Yeah.
a mask. The only thing we changed is if you're fully vaccinated,
You don't
this is
have to wear a
strongly
mask.
encouraged
Yeah.
versus required. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay, that's only different. So then, why should we go and, I'm gonna say something in my personal experience, okay? I think that all adults, anybody that's out there, know the risk. And if they're gonna be going to a meeting, or if they're gonna be going to outdoors, it's to wear, how can we force them to wear a mask? And the reason I'm saying it is, I have a sister that had lung transplant, okay? And I'm telling her she cannot be with the mask out there. And she tell me we go somewhere right away. She doesn't want to go out because I can't breathe. I can't breathe. There's a lot of people that cannot wear masks, even indoors. So now what we're trying to say is you want them to wear masks.
Well, I'm not saying it.
No.
I'm just telling you how.
No.
Again, she
I
told me that-
know. So there's a lot of controversy here. So
Now, specifically on that, again, I'm looking at the chief, because he's, hopefully he can back me up on this. If I understand the rules correctly, and I've read them too many times, so it's very confusing. If somebody is medically impaired, be it a child with asthma, or in this case your sister,
Yeah.
they are not required to wear a mask. Am I correct? That's correct. Okay, so there is flexibility there if you cannot wear a mask for medical purposes. But again, all we did is lift the mandatory indoor mask mandate for vaccinated individuals. If you're unvaccinated, it's still a requirement. The problem here is the enforcement. And that has, unfortunately, we have politicized public health, which is shameful.
and what happens if a person, do they get fined or what?
In theory, yes.
Yeah?
In theory, yes.
Oh,
But again, it's very hard to enforce. It is basically impossible to enforce. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw the monkey on the Calexico Police Department's back, because at the end of the day, we all know that they have limited boots on the street. Sheriffs is the same thing. We have thousands of square miles that the sheriffs cover. You think they're gonna enforce the people not wearing a mask? It's very challenging. So again, that's why I brought up COVID-19 and how it is our responsibility to be responsible to ourselves and our community. It's up to us to police each other, not for Sergeant Legaspi, not for Lieutenant Legaspi, Sergeant Legaspi. Okay, I'll try to give you a promotion. Miguel, it's up to us to enforce ourselves. It's up to us to be responsible. We can't be hypocritical. We need to really work on this. I mean, it's life and death. It's life and death.
Thank you, Supervisor
Yeah.
Escobar, for your input.
Thank you.
So the request on the floor for a letter to be drafted, to be sent to the Board of Supervisors, encouraging the reinstatement of face covering, if that what you're asking?
That is correct.
Okay, so, and to that, what I would like to say is that, yes, it is a good idea, but I think Supervisor Escobar also touched on something that I want to echo. I don't want this to be politicized. I don't want in no shape or form to be a way of us as a city to be misconstrued as us, trying to enforce or trying to, create a mandate. This is none of that. But I think it's more of continue to have, awareness that, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to police ourselves, ourselves, not have a authority, enforcing that. So with that, if we could just work on something, just maybe, again, stating some facts. But before that, what I would suggest, I would like to see that letter, how it's put together. And now, do I have a motion for that to be approved?
Just one question before I make that particular motion. Miguel, is there a way we can get, because I know you want to see how the letter is written, so that it's, obviously, you don't want to vote on something that doesn't exist yet. Is there a way we can get this letter for the special meeting we will have next week with the whole planning commission? Can we get it done by next week instead of the regular meeting? Because we're going to have a special meeting next week for some planning ordinances, right?
No. No, there's going to be, all those items are slated for December 1st.
Regular meeting?
Yes.
That's
Approved, yeah.
yeah, that's fine. As long as we move forward with it, and also as a city, I think we have a responsibility to tell our residents so that they don't get confused. That the county says, well, you can take off your mask now. No, it's still dangerous. Mexicali is the #1 city with COVID in all of Mexico. All of them are going to be with us at Walmart, and now they're going to be with us at Walmart without masks.
Mr. Ureña,
Yes.
since you're going to have your townhouse, why don't, instead of writing a letter to the supervisors, why don't, as you're saying right now, that you're going to have the townhouse explaining about the ARPA, why don't there, write something and address to the public how you feel, or what the pros and cons about wearing it, and that way we don't get into this political. I mean, I feel it's a little bit political,
No,
and writing a letter to the county supervisors. I mean, that's my viewpoint.
Yeah,
So,
I-
if we could reach out and educate them more, and I think it's a great idea that you're having that townhouse meeting. Why don't you bring that up right now? What you're saying, how you're saying, how see, for them to understand the pros and the cons. I would think so. I mean, that's my recommendation.
I agree with you, and yes, I specifically put COVID on the town hall so we could have that conversation with the community. But the only reason I want this letter is because at the end of the day, the people that make the decision, yes mask or no mask, are the county board of supervisors. And I really would like to send a letter to them to say, you know what, we have to be a little bit more careful. I mean, as a border city, we know what we're up against. We're at a little bit higher risk, and we would like them to be a little bit safer. Not to pick any sides, but I mean, those are just the facts. I think I think the motion I would consider is to put it for the next meeting. And,
next meeting.
we can consider it once it's written.
So then your motion is to put it as the regular item on the next, regular meeting that we have scheduled for
Yes.
December?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, I think at this point right now, I can certainly take this item as a future agenda item.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the direction basically is all I need, and with that, I can go ahead and work on the item that's being requested.
Correct. So if we all agree, I think it's better if we do the due diligence.
Sure.
And we can see that letter before, because, again, I would like to stay away from the politics. I think, what we're trying to do here is more of an outreach and educate and continue to ask, our population to still be vigilant and compliant with, at least, wearing a face covering. So would that be okay with you, Mr. Ureña?
Sure. Yes.
So it was just direction for a future item. Thank you. Item number 10, approved list of selected consultants for on-call engineering, plan check, surveying, inspection services, geotechnical, landscape, and architectural design services. Staff report.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I'll briefly just introduce the item, and I'll have my Public Works Manager come up and elaborate a little more. This is an item that she has brought to our attention in previous meetings. The reason why we're requesting that you consider the work that has been done from a procurement standpoint, as your staff report reads, we've generated a list of parties that have been vetted that qualify to provide specific professional services. That I do want to point out, I understand sometimes the word consultant can be misconstrued. I do want to say that these are specialized professional services the city would be receiving.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and those here present. As Mr. Figueroa mentioned, we went through the procurement process of requesting proposals for on-call engineering services, plan check services, surveying, inspection services, geotech, and architectural design. 6 companies submitted their proposal. Staff reviewed it and made sure they met all the qualifications and guidelines of the RFP. So if this list of companies is approved tonight, what we do is we have several projects in our capital improvement projects that we need to start working on. What staff prepares a task order then submits it to the companies that are on this list. Then the company gives us a proposal. If the proposal is above the 25,000 mark, then I come before City Council to request the approval. If it is under the 25,000 mark, then we proceed with the approval of the city manager. I recommend that these 6 companies be approved tonight, so we can continue with several projects that we have in the capital improvement project list.
Any questions? I just have a question also on the 6 companies. How can we, again, what was, again, take me back, how was the process to select those 6 companies? I know it's based on the expertise, but what was the outreach done to select those companies?
When we advertise a request for proposal, I advertise it in the Imperial Valley Press here locally, and then I also advertise it in our city website. Plus, I have a list of bidders list as well as a consultant list where I email the companies letting them know that the city is doing a request for proposal. They can go into our city website. I provide them the link, and they can download the formal request for proposal.
Okay, thank you. One last thing on this also. I know we just had an event for Business Services Fair just a couple of weeks ago, almost a couple of weeks ago. So if we can probably reach out to any of those agencies, whether it's SBDC, SBA, or whichever agency can probably help. And I know that's beyond what we are doing here, but maybe help, some of these companies that probably are not bidding on this, jobs, as to how they can get help to be qualified to respond to these RFPs, especially the local companies. Those are the ones that, I'm hoping that, we're reaching out, and we are from what you just stated, but I just want to make sure that we are also connecting them with the resources, local resources, so they can go through the process and be eligible to be on the list to be considered for these bids. So just as a request.
We can do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So with that, if I have a motion for approval of item number 10,
Make a motion to approve.
do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Item number 11, adopt resolution number 2021- of the City of Calexico, of the City Council of the City of Calexico adopting the California Department of Transportation Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, implementing agreement for the City of Calexico. Mr. Figueroa, staff report.
Yes, sir. The Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program is something that in current time is part of the California Department of Transportation, LAPM, the Local Assistance Procedures Manual, that must be followed for all projects that entail resources that they provide government jurisdictions like Calexico for projects within the city. One of the advantages of having a city council, in this case, approve a resolution like this one, is that we will continue as a city to be entitled to other monies through the state of California, through the Department of Transportation at the federal level, so we can continue to do road repairs. With that said, I'll let Public Works Manager Faromir share a little more detail.
Yes, as Mr. Figueroa mentioned, every federal funded project, whether it's streets or airport or transportation, requires that they have a disadvantaged goal. So before we do a request for bids, we have to do several calculations. Sometimes it could be like a 3%, 9% that we require from the primary contractor to submit. We also have to report all of that information to the Department of Transportation. Each year we have to do our program and let them know that we're going to follow the policies. This time, or this item before you, they amended their Exhibit 9A. So we come before you to request authorization to approve the revised Exhibit 9A, as well as authorize the city manager to sign Exhibit 9A through resolution before you.
One item, Mayor Pro Tem, that we discussed internally that I think it's important to bring up is this is where the discrimination to local businesses that wish to contend for these types of projects gets addressed. At certain points, they can become subs through the bigger companies, or they can even decide to be a bidder by themselves. This addresses some of the issues, like the staff report reads, that were addressed in previous years. So everybody gets a leveled playing field. That's the term that DOT uses, a leveled playing field for all.
Okay. Any questions? And I go back almost to the same question, the comment that I had also. In having that level playing field, what can we do to make sure that we help? Because we're the ones that are going to be procuring those services, right, to a point. And maybe we can think, well, maybe it's not our responsibility to make sure that, the contractors, the subcontractors, or our local businesses that might offer these services are aware of these things, the process they have to go through. And I think that's where our local companies might be missing out. The ability or inability to apply for this type of projects or be part of this process because, again, if I recall, not long ago or a few years ago, there was an agency by the name of PTAC that will assist or used to assist businesses in going through the process as to how to sell services to the government, as an example. So again, going back to the same comment that I made, if we can just somehow either prepare a fact sheet or just a half sheet where you want to do you want to do business with the city? Well, this is where you should call, or maybe getting in touch with again SBDC, SBA, some of those agencies that can probably help our local businesses, our local companies, be ready for this type of projects that they can bid, or at least educate them and get there somehow, and keep this local and truly address and level the playing field, as Mr. Figueroa is alluding to.
But it is, isn't it? I mean, it's out there locally, isn't it?
Well, the Department of Transportation does a very good job. They're constantly doing, now webinars, but they are constantly doing webinars, training on DBE as well as their local procedures manual. So what we can do is, send or have through our social media page. Every time there's a training, we can advertise it through there as well as through our city website.
That will be great.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it. So with that, do you have a motion to approve item number 11? Do you have a second?
Second? Oh, go.
Loris?
So we have a first and second. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Second by, first was by Councilwoman Romo, second by Councilwoman Fernandez. So it passes 4-0. Moving on to item number 12, discussion and potential action to approve a regional aerial imagery acquisition consortium memorandum of understanding with the County of Imperial and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. I believe we have a presentation. I didn't get the name of the gentleman, so.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, you're rightfully on point. We have Mr. Brian Favela from the County of Imperial. He's spearheading this project for the Valley along with other county staff. I'm very happy to share that this is going to be a great tool for our planning and building department along with the economic development efforts of the city. Mr. Favela, please.
Mr. Favela, take it away.
Thank you very much for the space and the opportunity to bring this to the City Council. I'm very honored as a Calexico resident to bring this project forward. As Mr. Figueroa said, this is a county-wide initiative. We're really, through collaboration with a lot of agencies, we're really hoping to bring this tool and make it affordable for a lot of the smaller jurisdictions that would individually perhaps not be able to afford a service or a tool like this. Next slide.
Oh, you can manage.
Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, this project is being done in collaboration with the IID, Caltrans, SCAG, LAFCO, ICTC, the cities, and the county. It's seen it's been a rigorous process. The initial estimates or projections for the cost of this project that were brought forth by SCAG were upwards of $650,000. Now, we think that at that price point, it's still a worthwhile tool, but of course, that's a pretty hefty price tag. So we made a very rigorous effort to bring that cost down without sacrificing the quality of what we were getting, as well as the coverage to meet the needs of all the jurisdictions here in the county. And one of the driving principles behind this is to, again, use this tool that's already being used by a lot of larger jurisdictions, like San Diego, Riverside, even Yuma County, that they have been using for decades, and allow all of our local jurisdictions, including the county and the cities, to leverage this technology. Now, one of the ways in which we really want to make this project go for the long run and not be a one-off or a two-off is to make it very, as you were able to see, a very strong effort to maintain the cost down. And as I had mentioned, a smaller to medium-sized city would usually spend upwards of $15,000, maybe $20,000 a year for access to a service like this. Now we're asking City of Calexico to make the contribution of $6,800 for access to the service. To provide some perspective, if 25 city employees were to use the service, that would come down to about $272 per user. And because it's for more than 1 year, the access, over the long run, that cost could even come down lower, right? But that's just an example. I also want to stress that this service is available to, in theory, a limited amount of users in the city. But in practicality, all the employees that count with an email address can have credentials to access the service. Another way in which we want to make sure that this project remains relevant and important and useful is that we want to provide consistent updates to the imagery. We find that a good sweet spot between the cost and the changes that happen at the county in terms of development, new infrastructure, it would be about every 3 to 4 years. We're projecting that our next flight, for example, will take place in 2024. However, we want to be cognizant of situations where the economy might slow down, or God willing, where it speeds up, and we maybe do this every 2 years or shorter. But again, as these updates to the imagery are very tailored to our community, so let's say that we wanted to, again, maintain the imagery, up to date, we can just perform flights over the city and over the cities and areas adjacent to those, so that way we again, cut costs, but make sure that the tool remains relevant, right? Now, I want to talk about the features of the imagery service of the product that make it so powerful. Now, this image was taken in November of 2007. We do have an imagery set of the county that goes back to 2007, and as we perform more updates, we hope to count with more data sets to reference. Now, this image is not exactly over City of Calexico, but it's in an area that's very relevant to a lot of us. And as you can see, this place looks not a lot, it doesn't look like that anymore. This next image was taken in December it says 2021, it was taken last year in December. It's just a typo, but as you can see, there's been massive changes to the area, right? There's now a port of entry, a much bigger port of entry. So this just goes to demonstrate the power of having imagery sets or information of previous years, as well as the current ones, right? Now, this is more than just pictures to reference. Oh, well, I want to provide you a couple more examples that may be more relevant. Now, this image was taken, again, in 2007. That area looks similar, but not the same as it used to. It looks more like this today, right? Now, this next image, again, taken in 2007, over an area that I think is familiar to most of us. Sadly, today, it looks more like this. So I just want to highlight all of the changes that occur, right, in a city or in a county that is important to keep track of, but that again, as you see the other features, you'll see why it's even more of a useful tool to have. Now here, I want to show you that you're able to use the imagery. Every pixel in this image is about 3 inches per pixel in resolution, so it's very good. And every pixel also has an X and a Y coordinate over that image. So you're able to perform measurements of height. So you can measure the height of a building, a wall, of surface area, such as a sidewalk, a parking lot, a right-of-way. You're able to take the bearing, the angle of certain things, the ground distance. I do want to say that these are not survey grade level measurements, of course, but considering that you're able to make them from your computer or your tablet or your phone, they're very good, relevant estimates of actual dimensions on the ground. Now this next image, not only are you able to look at image and really use the tool as a workspace where you write down notes and make measurements, but you're also able to bring in information that is more traditionally found in maps and web applications. In this case, it's the parcel boundaries. That really brings a lot more context to an image, right? And you're also able to bring, for example, labels over that information. In this case, assign addresses to those parcels. Now, this is just a small example, but you can really bring a lot of city assets like water meters, as well as manholes, all kinds of other infrastructure, as well as other layers like zoning or land use. And again, it adds a lot more context to the information, but also to the imagery. Now, traditionally, this is the kind of imagery that we're used to seeing if we use Google Maps or a tool like Google Earth, right? Very top-down. Now, this is available county-wide, so you can see imagery top-down of virtually every developed location in the county or where there's roads or infrastructure. But what makes this tool really, really powerful is that you really have 5 different perspectives of any one single location in the cities and in the outskirts of the cities, in the areas surrounding the cities. Now, I want to show you this same area, but from the south, looking north at a 45-degree angle, thereabout. And as you're able to see, you're now able to see under trees, under a lot of canopy areas, roofed areas, as well as the side of buildings. So this provides a lot of context as to, well, any observation that you would like to make, but for example, windows, doors, entrances, that kind of thing that you would not be able to see from an image like this, no matter how high of a resolution it is. So we have from the south looking north, same location, but from the south, from the north looking south, from the west looking east, and from the east looking west. So all of these features you can, again, use together. So if you wanted to take measurements over this image or overlay other information, that is all available. I can't think of very specific use cases, but for example, City of Brawley mentioned that they are using this tool for grants, procurement. A lot of this information is very relevant to a lot of those things. So now that's my presentation. If anybody has any questions or would like some clarity or for me to expand on any of the things that I talked about, I would be more than happy to address them.
Any questions from Mr. Favela?
Just for Figueroa, this will be general fund, right?
This would be through the economic development side of the business that we perform.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
On the technical side, you said that to update the images, right? Is it a flyover, or what was that term that, and technically, how is that done? This is my
That's a very good question. Yes, it's an airplane. That flies, I don't know exactly, the specific altitude, but it flies close to the ground, and it takes images of a lot of locations.
So it's not satellite imagery, it's actually an airplane that goes and does the surveying or whatever they do, so.
Yeah, that's correct. And the reason for that is that an airplane is able to be a lot closer, and it's a lot of times below like atmospheric conditions like clouds and haze, so it's able to take very good images that way.
Okay, very good.
Just out of curiosity.
No, that's perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay, motion to approve?
So I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it has 4-0. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Item number 13. Approval of the service agreement for administration of claims with Sedgwick Claims Management Services, Inc. and the City of Calexico.
Mayor, Mayor, City Council, as a self-insured city, that we're striving to be in another insurance pool in the very near future. We're working fiscally to be ready to prove that we can be again in an insurance pool. In the meantime, we need to address our claims management, specifically the workers' comp service that we offer as a city. At this point right now, what's before you is for us to continue our collaboration with Sedgwick Claims Management Services. We've been in continuous communication through our HR manager, Denise Garcia, with them at this point right now. We are encouraging the City Council to consider this agreement so the services can continue, and they would carry us through the end of the calendar year 2024. Again, I do want to point out that the fiscal impact related to this matter is already budgeted within our, not to be redundant, within our budget. So it's not an additional encumbrance that we would be looking at.
Okay.
Thank you. Do I have any questions?
Is new agreement? Oh, no. Is
I'm
new-
sorry.
Is that new agreement?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I hear a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Thank you. We'll go to item 14. Appointment by Council Member Romo to the Planning Commission. Ms. Romo?
Yeah, I appoint Mr. Bieber for the commission, the planning commission. James Bieber.
Thank you. With that, we'll get to future agenda items.
Mayor Pro Tem, I have noted the item that was recommended by Council Member Ureña.
Anybody else on future agenda items
Yeah.
besides that letter?
The letter, other?
Yo nomás, un comentario, ¿verdad? Or just one that could become a future agenda item that I just remembered that I forgot from City Council comments. This Saturday, the Quechon, they're defending their land against a gold mine, and it's a regional hot topic. It's probably going to keep going on for months. It's an indigenous tribe here locally in Winter Haven that is defending their land. We're going to have a protest this Saturday, so that is going to start a regional conversation. Maybe at some point down the road, whether it's a letter of support, or if we can invite them to make a presentation on what's going on with that deeply historic issue that is happening in our county, or even an invocation, we could consider. Any of those would be interesting, not by the next agenda, but maybe sometime in the future as that develops.
Thank you. As far as future agenda items, let me go back to the Cordoba Park. How are we doing? I know we approved for the purchase of seed, how we're doing on that, Miguel, if you can either have a report now, if you could just bring it in the future.
So one of the things that I do want to share as a result of what this council approved is we're going to be working closely with Public Works to make sure that we have a timeline as to when the work will be done, so we can coordinate an event in which we can invite the council just to showcase the progress that's being made. I think it deserves of our time to do so, because it's been a long time coming, especially right now that we're going to enter the winter season, that we're going to see that grass grow. We'll be in coordination to have something there so we can showcase it to the community.
Thank you.
Aside from that, if there are specific asks on the progress of the other elements, like Ms. Falomir has done in previous meetings, we'll make sure that once we hit those milestones, we come here and let you guys know.
What I would like to see also is a constant update of all those projects, whether it's parks, whether it's, I know what I've seen in social media lately is that bike path that is happening by, as people call it, by the New River. They're very happy. So I think it's, some of the comments are that they didn't even know that was happening, but they're very pleasantly surprised and they're using it. So things like that, I think that's the reason why I'm asking for updates, to make sure that our citizens are aware of what's going on and how these projects are progressing also. So, thank you.
I have to,
Go ahead.
yeah, okay, thank you. It's very important care for protect our students. It's possible, Señor Figueroa, make a visual report of all public and private school on, ¿cómo se dice los que caminan?
Pedestrians.
Crossing. It's very important, this inform, Mr. Figueroa, is possible for the next meeting, please?
Okay.
Yeah, and
I can definitely, I got the item. I can definitely work with you to specifically get what you're looking for so we can have it ready.
okay. ¿Cómo se llaman? Excuse me. Pero ¿cómo se llaman esas bolitas que le ponen en el piso con lucecitas?
Well, the
Señor,
markers on the road.
¿cómo se llaman, Liliana? Son como unos topes chicos que tienen luz.
It's the flashing markers.
flashing.
There's only maybe about one school that has them. The rest of the schools, their crossing is just is painted. I think it's two. We have in Kennedy, and then we also have here on, well, there used to be on Heber here where we have the school district has their softball field.
Okay. And the second is present the situation for the possible rental agreement of the Teco Monroy Park, please, Miguel.
Understood, yes.
That's it. Thank you.
I forgot one item. It was communicated to me by Maribel Padilla from the Brown Bag Coalition. Just like we did a fee waiver for temporary use for the farm worker event, they wanted they wanted two things. They asked for an update on the MOU with the city for the use of the shower trailers that they just inaugurated. And because they're planning to have an event on December 4th where they're going to bring the shower trailer to the border park. So she asked if there can be an MOU ready before that day. Otherwise, if they could at least have a fee waiver for that specific day, and then we can get to work on the MOU.
Do you have a date for that?
For the next
Just
meeting?
December 4th is their event.
Okay.
December?
El 4 de diciembre.
Oh,
They're going to have a shower event at Border Park.
Understood.
If I may, I know we're making this an item, but with that, I know we have this request for, fee waivers. Can we work on creating, I don't know if there's already a policy that we can consider where we don't have to bring those items to the council, and that maybe that can be left to you with some guidelines, specific guidelines as to how, this can be approved without coming to this council. So, again, I don't know if you have already something, or if you can work on putting something together, some sort of policy where we don't have to be dealing on a one-by-one cases type of thing.
We do, yeah, and you're right on point, Mayor Pro Tem. We actually do have a policy in place in which the authority of the city manager can be used to waive fees for TUPs, specifically for nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations.
And if you can just bring it up or
Sure.
just send it to us so we can
Absolutely.
review it and just, actually expedite some of these processes.
You got it.
Anybody else? Okay. So with that, if I have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
first by Ms. Fernandez, second by Ms. Romo. All of us in favor say aye. Aye. 4-0.